up, guys? It's Lord Botha here with another video, and I saw The Penguin, the first episode of The Penguin on HBO Max, and here is my review of it. First off, as I often like to, let's just get the initial did I like it or not out of the way, and the truth is I did like it. I liked it a lot. In terms of the technical standpoints of the show, it's pretty on point. None of the green screens look horrifically like a green screen. The lighting all looks good, sets the mood and setting well. They capture that feel of the Batman's Gotham pretty well. And of course, Colin Farrell's prosthetics, pretty on point. I mean, he looks like he did in the Batman film, what I saw of it. I never actually saw the Batman. It just wasn't a Batman film that interested me. Robert Pattinson just seemed far too brooding and emo to be Batman to me, in his depiction at least from what I saw. I just wasn't interested in it. And I knew with the upcoming reboot of the DC Universe, there wasn't really any reason to go see this one-off Batman movie, because we honestly knew it was going to be a one-off. They might still get a sequel for it. I don't think so. But that's for another discussion another time. As far as the feel of this show goes, it feels pretty authentic to that kind of gangster vibe. It definitely feels more Sopranos gangster than it does, say, Scorsese gangster. Whereas Scorsese paints a lot of his gangster films as probably more realistically as how they were, which is extreme highs and joys right next to violence and death. This is more of a dark, slow-paced, scheming, more, not really chill, but more low-key kind of gangster. Definitely more of a feel of The Sopranos, which makes sense as to why it's being compared to The Sopranos, besides the fact that the lead character is a middle-aged, overweight, bald man. The big thing that stood out about this show, though, is the pacing. This show doesn't waste time. When I compare this show to something else HBO does, which is House of the Dragon, it's like night and day. House of the Dragon Season 2, it felt like we took the entire season to move almost nowhere in the plot. Where with this show, we're moving at a pretty quick pace. In the desire to try to remain spoiler-free, let's just say that Oswald Oz Cobb, because that apparently would be too silly for a gangster show. It's not like gangsters give each other silly names like Slim and Two Time and all that. But Oz, he's kind of a mid-level gangster, and Carmine Falcone is dead from the Batman movie, and it's expected that his son will take over for him as the kingpin of crime in Gotham. But then there's an event kind of within the first 5 minutes of this show, which actually gets the plot off and rolling, because that event is caused by a very big mistake done by Oz, and the entire rest of the show, you can tell, is going to be not just him trying to hide this mistake, but also using this mistake to his advantage to try to fulfill his own ambitions. Oz also does have a few accomplices in this show. He has a lady of the night, shall we say, who is a friend of his and often gives him alibis for his whereabouts. And he also recruits a young street thug named Victor. And here's one gripe I'll give about the show. The show falls into the trap of the young black or mixed Latin and black boy being the understudy and trainee of the more well-experienced old white gangster. It's been done several times before now, and honestly, you can kind of see it coming every time. I mean, there's several examples. GTA 5, Tulsa King, and it's starting to become a trope, and I don't think we really need to do it. Listen, there's no problem with having a mixed Latin and black or just straight up black kid become the understudy to some older, more experienced gangster. That's fine. But when it's happened enough times that I can guess that it's about to happen on screen before it happens, we might want to rethink our using of this kind of element in our plot. Oz also has a mother who's still alive, apparently. She seems to serve as his sort of motivating force and reminds him of who he actually is. And there are several other characters that are more integral to the plot that I don't really want to go over because it might lead into spoilers for you. And I really do think you guys should go see the show because it was very enjoyable to watch. There's also a lot of action that has taken place in the first episode of this show. Again, far more of an action, quick-paced feeling that's actually moving the plot along than, say, something like House of the Dragon. Essentially, this show does all the things the first episode of a show should do. It establishes the main character, his motives, his desires, his insights and outlooks on life that affect his decision making and his scheming in this case. Every character introduced has their own distinct personality. A clear villain is established by the end of the episode. The actual conflict of the entire series and what that's going to be is also established within the first episode, and we actually make some progress within that conflict of the plot. Colin Farrell does a very good job, again, of portraying the character. From what I saw of the trailers of the Batman and a few snippets of his scenes, he's right back into it, right on point. The character looks on point, and there's a lot of emotion and actual drama that's portrayed in this show between the chief characters. And to remind everybody, this is a show about a second-rate Batman villain, the Penguin. And it's honestly forming up to be one of the most compelling plots on television for this year. But that's my general thoughts about the first episode. I do again recommend you go see it. I didn't get heavily into the details because I wanted to remain spoiler free again. We might get more spoiler filled in future reviews if I continue reviewing the show. But if you like this review, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like it, I appreciate you listening this long, and we'll talk to you again later.